Okay. This is an adventure we're going on. So we're getting out of work a little early because of ice conditions, road conditions worsening severely. So we're gonna see what happens, eh? Yeah. Let's see. It's quite a bit of snow. Mush, snow, ice, mess. It still looks pretty salted. Do a little brake check here. Not terrible, not terrible. That still sounds terrible. Did I ever tell you about the time? So this is technically hail right now. Did I ever tell you about the time I got caught in a hailstorm? It was a first day at a new job, or a new site actually. But driving back, I got in a hailstorm, and I was not prepared. I'm pretty hard to shake. I'm pretty unflappable, but that experience shook me pretty significantly. It was so loud you couldn't even think. It was crazy. And I kept thinking like, oh, this isn't that bad, and then it just got worse and kept getting worse and worse. And I'm like, I feel like I need to do something. And it got to the point where I was worried that my windshield was going to break. Like, actually just crack and shatter. It was nasty. It was gnarly. And I got a new respect for the weather at that day. But I was it shook me up for a while. Fear is not usually a thing that I like. You can be concerned about stuff, you can be worried about things, you can be anxious about things, but fear, like proper adrenaline fear, are pretty rare. So this was a fine experience. This isn't that bad, obviously. The danger of the road conditions. What's really weird or bad, or both of those things, is the ice hasn't come off the tree limbs yet. So it's been there since last week. It's that first freezing rain just started building up, 3/4 of an inch of ice on all the tree limbs. And it felt like a couple days back there it was starting to melt a little bit, but it's still all up there. And the worry is that this either reinforces that, makes them heavier, or that while the tree limbs are so weighed down with ice, that we get some strong winds and it brings them all down. So I don't know what the proper solution for something like that is, aside from like flamethrower, maybe. I mean, like, literally, you want to melt the ice that's covering the limbs and branches and twigs of the trees in your backyard. Your object is to melt all of that ice, and you want to melt it all around these little branches. So I don't know, maybe build like a campfire underneath it, and then you let the heat kind of rise, but I'm not even sure you'd be able to maintain a campfire with the winds like this. Plus, I would expect all that heat to just flow away with any wind. So I don't know. actual, proper, practical use for flamethrower. That's what I'm talking about. Because you can't, like, if you use a flamethrower on the ice, on the ground, then you're just, you'll reduce the thickness, hopefully, but you're still going to leave a bunch of water there. That's basically just going to freeze again. So the idea of the tree branch, though, you melt that water, it falls, and after it falls, oh no, I'm all out. After it falls, it doesn't, the tree limb is less stressed. This isn't so bad. Yeah, I still got good brakes. Good traction, I mean. It's like a 10-year-old boy running around with the snow shovel, shoveling the driveway. It's like, yeah, harness that kid energy. It's like my 5-year-old. I want to put him on like an exercise bike, just so he can just get out all that energy, and we could generate some electricity off of that. It's just so much energy. But I was a kid too, so it's not about that. It's about the thing you're doing is not, hey, I have energy. You have energy for the thing, for the task, for the cool thing, the fun thing, the thing you want to do at that moment. As soon as you change to another thing, that energy just dissipates, it evaporates. I'm trying not to complain here. The roads are really not that bad. Everyone's driving very, very conservatively, which is fine. Totally fine. Everything's fine. Just thinking about it, getting snowed in or iced in for a few days. It's like I got some projects I could work on. And then I think about, like, what if I didn't have internet access for that period? And I'm like, okay, I have, like, some offline stuff I could work on. And then I think, well, what if there's no electricity? And I'm like, okay, there's probably some things I could work on. And some of that stuff is like, getting the data off of those devices, or off of power-hungry devices. Or even just printing stuff out, so you have a reference material that you can look at. Of course, like, with that open SCAD shorthand, like, I can practically write. I can write in a notebook architecture. Yeah, well, I could probably write straight code with that open SCAD, and then write, basically do CAD work in my head, and write out the instructions for it, and then copy it down afterwards. That works. There's also, let's see, architecture is always easy. I mean, architecture that's a pen and paper or a whiteboard anyways. You don't need any electricity for that. Although I'm not sure how much architecture I have to do right now. Well, yeah, I would have to print out a bunch of reference material for that. It's a large project, so I would have print out all that and then read it, and then in reading it, pick up how the architecture works, and then go, okay, here's what I want to do, and then start building new stuff. Which would be pretty cool. There's a book that Steve Wozniak wrote, called iWOZ, lowercase I, WOZ, and listened to the audiobook on that a couple times actually, and it's a very interesting. Well, he's an interesting guy, but I don't know. Some of the stuff is a bit off-putting to me, because some of it I frankly don't believe. I believe the the operators. I understand those people, those engineer types, and that's, I've been that, and to some degree still am that. But some of it just puts me the wrong way. There's bits in there about how he made his own design with his own chips. He would improve other people's designs. He would look at their designs and figure out ways that he could do it for less, do it with fewer chips. I guess just making it up in software, or flipping buffers, I guess. But he goes out of his way to talk about how he did this, and no one ever knew that he ever did it, and he never included anyone else in this, and he just did it on his own, on his personal time, and no one knew about it until he was like, hey, why don't I make that? And then he put it all together. It's just weird. To tell your dad about it, or to be like, yeah, Mom was always mad at me because at the dinner table I was sitting there with a notebook trying to figure out how I could do this, that, do these things, and it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. And then there's the whole bit about the original price of the first Apple Macintosh, or Apple computer. And he's like, what? Jobs just came up with this price. That's just the formula we used, and that's what came up. So we were like, okay, that's the price. And then everyone was like, whoa, this is demonic, I guess? But yeah. You gotta be an exceptional engineer to be that completely disconnected. Which he was. He was an exceptional engineer. I'm just saying, it's suspect. A lot of this stuff is it's rather suspect. And it, like I said, it just rubs me the wrong way. But that's neither here nor there. But the point of that was that he wrote a basic interpreter in assembly using a notebook and a piece of paper, or a notebook and a pen, basically. He would write out. I'm sure he used a pencil, but maybe he did use a pen just to flex on everyone. It's like, I didn't even make any mistakes. He knew the assembly language for it and wrote it out. And wrote it out on the on his notebook. And then when he finally had access to a computer to run it, he typed the whole thing in, and hey presto, it worked. And that I do believe. But just I don't know, it's the dedication of mental energy to be able to hold, being able to hold all that stuff in your head at the same time, and move stuff around in there and say, oh wait, this is going to affect that, oh wait, that's going to make a bug with this, and make those changes beforehand, in the notebook, literally on pencil and paper. You're computing with a pencil and an eraser. It's hardcore. Of course, there's also the low power computing, and that's, let's see. I've mentioned these guys before. It's a team, a couple and a team of developers and artists, or whatever. But their group, they call themselves 100 Rabbits, and they do sailing. They sail around and do development and all kinds of stuff. And they do it basically completely off grid because they're, you know, in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. You're not going to find any Wi-Fi. And they get as much work done as they can with solar chargers and deep cell batteries on their boat, and then use as little power as possible while doing as much work as possible. And that's, you know, that's just that's efficiency on a different scale. It's a different style of efficiency, and I appreciate it. And all of their work is really, I love their design. So it's really good. Oh, there's it's not an interview, it's a talk that they did, and it's very interesting. I'll link that I'll link that when I get this uploaded, if I get this uploaded. But they do a lot of hey. This person's he's driving like this. Got the the tail end is permanently fishtailing, and I don't know if that's because it doesn't have any traction, or if that's just how the alignment works on that car, or doesn't work on that car. But they do a lot of low power computing, and I think it's pretty cool. Well, I think it's really cool. It's excellent. I have some of the kit that they have too, so I know that it's, you know, like I would be able. I'm very interested in it. I also would note that the screen that I have, it's a smaller display, but it's the same pixel density. The Pimeroni Hyperpixel. Ooh boy, yeah, there we go. Some fresh tree limbs down. That one does take less power than the official Raspberry Pi. Is it 7-inch display, 7-inch touchscreen display, and they're both capacitive touch, which is pretty cool. But so there's the possibility of getting even lower power. And like I said, that's just efficient in a different way. Guy in front of me's got his 4-wheel drive fishtailing all over the road. I'm tempted to push a little bit, but I'm not going to. There's more trees down. That's not good. But I did make it home safely. Thanks for coming along with me. I'm sure this was very exciting. Let's see if I can make it up the driveway. Dun 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 dun. Yeah. Well, praise the Lord. All safe. Alright. Let's see what happens.